Welcome to the programme. Within the last hour, the British government has said it will appeal against the High Court's decision to allow 3 Kenyans to claim for torture compensation during the Mau Mau uprising. Earlier, the High Court had ruled today that the 3 would be able to sue the UK's government for compensation. Their lawyers hailed the judgment as historic. A judge at the High Court said the evidence for the case was sufficient to proceed, despite the British government having argued that a fair trial wasn't possible for events that happened so long ago.
Wow.
Our correspondent Gabriel Gatehouse is at the Kenyan Human Rights Commission in Nairobi. He told me what the reaction there.
Get them black people their money.
They're ululating, they're singing, they're dancing. This may only be the start of another long, protracted legal process.
We need to do that in the United States, y'all.
There's about 50 Mau Mau veterans here. This is already a very, very significant victory. I spoke to one of their number just now. He said he hoped that the British government would now settle out of court so that they wouldn't have to go through another protracted legal process. But
tortured by British authorities, the British government, just with the United States.
Everyone prefer that they settled out of court. I mean, on the one hand, and significantly, a lot of the alleged victims are still with us, but they are not as young as they used to be, and the British government is already on record as having said, yes, this did happen.
That's right, they're not as young as they used to be. There were 4 claimants to begin with, but one of them died between the British government initially throwing out the claim that responsibility passed to the Kenyan government on independence and this judgment that we've just received today. So indeed, these are elderly people, and I think many of them want it settled quickly. What they say they want is an apology and some kind of welfare package for some of these people who are old, who've had terrible things happen to them, and many of whom live in very straitened circumstances.
Because the feeling in London is that this process will probably take place at the High Court. If you're elderly, making that journey from Kenya, from Nairobi, ping-ponging around the world, it's not an easy undertaking if you're in your 50s, 60s or your 70s.
Well, these people are in their 70s and 80s. It's not easy, and it's certainly not cheap. And these people don't have a lot of funds. They don't get support from the Kenyan government. So that indeed would be very, very difficult for them. And that, I think, is why there is this push towards an out-of-court settlement. But as I said, for the moment, I think it's just pure joy here. People are very, very pleased at what looks like at least an intermediary step in a process that's already been going for 3 years.
Gabriel Gatehouse there in Nairobi.